Hello, Central New York, and hello, hockey fans all across the internet, and welcome to 315 Hockey Live, the show dedicated to hockey in Central New York. I'm your host, Scott Kinville, and you will notice that I am not in the studio tonight. Just so everybody knows and everybody's wondering, just getting over the COVID, so I decided to stay out of the studio tonight, so I don't want to infect anybody else, any leftover. So I'm out here in my garage. But regardless, we have got a great show lined up for you tonight. Before I bring our guests in, I'm going to give you my co-host. First of all, sitting right there on his couch, he's ready to rock and roll. He is the founder of 315hockey.com. He is Mr. Mike Berminski. Mike, how are you?
Doing pretty well, Scott. Been a busy few days, as you know, but that's all part of life, I guess. So
It is. But you know what? It's a good busy. It's a
very good busy.
Absolutely. And sitting by himself in the studio, looks like he's all lonely over there.
I'm all alone. I don't know what to do.
He is our madman on the switchboard. He is our producer. He is Dave the Save Warner. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing great. Miss you, Scott.
I'm sure you really do. Yeah.
Got nobody to throw spit wads at.
Yeah, well, you'll get me back next week. Don't worry about
it. Yeah, I will.
All right. So I want to bring our guests in. You know, last week we had the head coach of the Colgate women's hockey team, Greg Fargo, along with defender Sydney Bard on. And this week we were going to keep that Colgate theme going. And we are so honored to have tonight with us the head coach of the Colgate men's hockey team, Mr. Don Vaughan, along with goaltender Carter Gylander. How are you guys?
Doing great, fellas. Glad to be with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. This is I know you guys are getting ready for your season. You just mentioned that you were just coming off the rink, getting done with a good practice session, I'm sure.
Yep, we did. We got a couple of games coming up this weekend. I'm sure we'll touch base on a little bit, but it comes quick. So here we go, and we'll be flat out pretty much now until the middle of March. So the fun begins this weekend.
Absolutely, nonstop all the way through. It's awesome. So, Coach, I want to ask you first. So, you are a 1984 graduate of St. Lawrence University. You were a standout hockey player up there. Right after you graduated, you went into coaching, and your first stop was in Holland as a player coach. So, tell me, how did that come about, and tell us about that experience.
Sure. And, keeping it in the 315 area code too up there in Canton, New York. So
there you go.
It was an unbelievable experience for me. First of all, it came about in kind of a crazy way. I had a friend of mine just gave me some names, and I reached out after I graduated and had some opportunities to go to both Germany and the Netherlands, and the Netherlands gig looked a little bit better for me. So I went over there, ended up playing, didn't know him at the time, but ended up playing with another good New York guy, a guy named Stan Moore. Stan's father coached up in Messina for a long time, and Stan played at Oswego, and he and I met for the first time at the airport in Montreal on our way to Holland. And it's just the beautiful people. It was a great way to sort of get our feet wet in terms of we not only coached our own team, but we coached all of the youth hockey programs as well. And it was interesting. We landed, and all the Dutch kids can skate. There's no question about that. They've been on skates.
Sure.
They're a little bit longer than ours, but they've been on skates since they were little. So we were watching them get out on the ice and skate around. And Stan and I kind of looked at each other and said, "Wow, these kids are pretty good." And then they put a puck on the ice, and it was like, "Oh my God, what just happened?" Like they couldn't even stand up straight. It was pretty funny, but it was a great experience. The people were tremendous. We got an opportunity to do some traveling, and to this day, I still have some great friends in the city that we played in, a place called Enschede, right on the German border. So fond memories, but it got my sort of my feet wet in terms of coaching, because I hadn't done a whole lot of that up until that point. And I like to think that that's sort of the beginning of where I am now.
Awesome. Very awesome. I'll tell you that what a heck of a way to start. I mean, it's got to, just again, the experience of it all had to have been fantastic. So you come back stateside after you were done there, and now you are entering your 29th season at Colgate as the head coach, which is just phenomenal in itself. What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen in the game itself, starting from when you started coaching to right now?
How long do you have? I mean,
as long as you want, my friend.
I mean, I did start as an assistant coach in 1985 at my alma mater at St. Lawrence. So that goes back way. So of course, no cell phones, no internet, no social media. So a lot has changed. I remember being on the road recruiting, and there'd be a lineup of 10 or 12 deep of assistant coaches and scouts waiting to get on a payphone. And everybody was waiting in line to either call their head coach or home to check in on family, since we're on the road a lot. But it's that part of it has changed, a lot. I mean, I think the other thing that I see is, these guys, Carter, obviously some of these other guys that I've coached over the years, that, we didn't play our first game when I first started at Colgate until like mid-October, maybe in the third week. And now we're playing this weekend, the beginning of October. And it's become a 24/7, 365-day commitment, both from the athletes and the coaches. And that's been a huge difference. It used to be, guys would show up in late August and they'd had a month to get in shape. Well, that's not happening anymore. The guys they're taking care of their bodies. They're eating properly. They're getting their rest. That's been a big difference. I certainly can't tell these guys anything that they don't already know when it comes to the social media piece. Like, I'll walk in the locker room like I've got this big news, like somebody got traded, or the polls are out, and so I'll announce it in the locker room, and they kind of look at me like I've got but what's wrong with you, coach? That's like yesterday's news. But I think one of the biggest changes in terms of managing people and coaching is that this generation, probably for about the last 10 years, they need to know why you're doing a drill or why you're doing a certain piece of structure, and they need to know now, which has really been different. When I first get into this, you do as I say kind of thing. You bark at them and they go out and they do it. Now these guys, they keep you sharp. There's no question about that. Like, without getting into details, I mean, they just want to know why you're doing a drill, and what's this going to do for me personally, and how do I get better from doing this kind of thing. And for me, it's kept me sharp.
Sure.
These guys are a lot smarter than I am. I say that every day. I admire what they do. I know, academically and everything else on campus, but it's the fact that they're inquisitive, they want to know, and they expect information instantaneously. And that's been a huge shift from, 15 or 20 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. The days of do it because I told you to do it are long gone.
Boy, they ever.
That's for sure. Coach, we just got some of your background. Carter, I want to get a little bit of yours too. And I know Mike, being a former fellow goaltender, has a question that he wants to ask you.
Yeah, I always like to learn how goalies decided to play goalie, and then who your favorite goalie was or is still.
Yeah, well, it's a rather interesting story of how I became a goalie. Back home, I got two older sisters, Allie and Brittany, and my parents put them in ringette, being from Canada, which is a pretty popular sport. Definitely a lot more girls than boys playing that, but with both of them working and having two older sisters, with a schedule with myself on a different minor hockey team, that just wasn't going to work. So they put me in ringette, and I started off playing as just a normal player. And back in those leagues, you could only score 3 goals max, kind of thing. And I go out there, sometimes score 3 goals, and I just love to score. And it wasn't until my second year that we just have a rotating goalie system. And at first, it never crossed my mind that I wanted to play a goalie, and went to, I'll try it. And that after that moment I tried it, I realized, this is a lot easier. I don't have to skate, don't have to work as nearly as hard, and why not? I loved it. And so pretty much from that point on, I just remained as being a goalie, and just tried out for my novice team in hockey. And from there, I've never been a player as playing hockey ever.
That's really cool. And it's funny because I coach a youth ball hockey program that we have down here. And Coach, you might be able to speak to this. When kids are younger like that, I always tell them it's great to actually try every position, because I'll have some kids, I just want to be a goalie. I don't want to. It's like, well, that's good, that's great, but it's fantastic also to be able to get that other perspective.
Not only that, I think we're so specialized now in all of our sports. I think kids should play a lot of different sports.
Oh, sure.
Growing up, we did play ball hockey when the ice came out, and then we played, fast pitch softball in Canada and baseball. And I mean, it just develops all different kinds of skill sets. But it's so hard, and I get it. I understand, why parents do it. They, Johnny next door is playing 12 months a year. He's going to get a head start on my son if I don't do that. I don't know. I still believe that, developing other skill sets and by playing other sports is still the best way to go.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Carter, all your hard work paid off. As 2019, you were drafted by the Detroit Red Wings. So tell us about that draft experience. Were you expecting to get drafted that year?
I had high hopes, and I was optimistic that I was going to get drafted. And that's also kind of a funny story that at that time I was still working at the golf course when I go back home in the summers, and I couldn't get that shift that Saturday, the second day of the draft. I couldn't get that off. And I had to work in the afternoon. So in the morning, I was watching the draft all the way up until maybe about the 5th round or so. And then from 2:00 on, I had to watch it, just the live updates on my phone. And at the golf course, I was picking range balls and then bringing them back to the back and washing them. And sure enough, I got a phone call from my advisor saying that, did you hear the news? And I had to tell him, no, I didn't, because I didn't see it live. I was watching it or washing balls. So that was a pretty good phone call. And from there, I had to go in and tell my boss, hey, I need a few minutes here. And he was more than happy to give me a little bit of an early break.
Oh, that's awesome. I was going to say, I hope you were not on the mower, because probably as soon as you got the news, that course got altered just a little bit out of excitement, right?
Yeah.
But, you mentioned back home, you're from outside of Edmonton, I believe.
Yep, just outside Edmonton.
Oilers fan growing up?
Yep, an Oilers fan growing up.
This is kind of a stupid question, wasn't it?
Hey, Scott Rippentear says, speaking of that, he wants your Kings jersey out of the back there. Time to go Rangers.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm one of the only Kings fans and probably in the entire East Coast too. So I got to.
You started talking Edmonton, so I had to bring it up.
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah. So Carter, just real quick, what because Coach touched on, you guys are 12 months a year now. What kind of preparations do you do in the off season to get ready for a new season?
Well, yeah, what Coach touched on is pretty much spot on. It's right now it's a full commitment, 24/7, 365, and I'm going to agree with Coach here that I think when you're growing up and hockey isn't as much of a time commitment, that players and anybody should engage in other sports as well. Growing up, I played basketball, volleyball, badminton, you name it, I'll play it, kind of thing. And it's up until the point where hockey's starting to get more and more serious, where now it's a 365 kind of job. So the past few years now, it's been in the summers, you get pretty much no time off other than going home, and even when you're at home, you're grinding. And it certainly is a process, but it certainly has paid off up until this point. And to speak on that, just in the summers, back when I got drafted in 2019, I had experienced my first development camp, and that was certainly eye-opening. And from that point on, during the camp, they taught us quite a lot of what it's like to be a pro, and how to manage everything on the ice, off the ice, your body and your time management, and that's all applicable to being a student athlete. And that's one of the best kind of experiences that comes with playing college hockey. So it certainly has been a grind, but I've learned a lot over the past few years of what it takes to, just be a pro.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I wanted to ask you guys about that too, because, Coach, your teams are consistently in the top of the academics for the NCAA for hockey. How do you guys continue year after year having that academic excellence?
Well, first of all, we make it a priority, and we actually pull it into the locker room. I mean, it's something that I've always, since I got here, it was important to me, obviously, but it until we brought it in the locker room, it was kind of just sort of hanging out there. But I remember one of my former captains one year brought in, and we put the line charts up on the board. I'm not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but it worked. And he basically put up all of the line charts on the board in the locker room, and he put all of the guys' GPAs from the semester next to their names on their line chart.
Wow.
And it was a little bit risky. Nobody was in risk of failing out or anything, but man, did the competitive juices get flowing. I mean, these guys are competitive, and they're competitive in everything that they do, including their academic GPAs. And that was just it was just a little thing that sort of we pulled into the locker room. But for me, it's always been during the recruiting process. It's always about whether with Carter, he's going to play pro hockey, but you can't play forever. And I mean, it sounds like an old cliche, but you need something else to fall back on when the playing days are over. And a Colgate degree is going to take you a long way. And in many cases, the earning potential from a Colgate degree will outlast your pro career by miles. So, it's hard. It's harder now because, the NHL can bring in so many free agents now with less money as they could 20 years ago when the collective bargaining agreement was different and they'd have to pay a rookie $1 million signing bonus. They don't have to do that anymore. So a lot of teams will throw, $1 million at 5 different players. And if one of them sticks, it's money well spent. And it's hard. It's hard for kids. It's hard for families when you see that money on the table. But at the end of the day, I still believe that it's still more important to get that Colgate education, that Colgate degree. The earning potential from that will far outweigh whatever you're going to get as a pro, unless you're, I don't know, Sidney Crosby or guys that play for 10 or 15 or 20 years, which is not the norm. So we keep putting in front of guys how important it is. But at the end of the day, it's on these guys. They're amazing. It blows my mind every day, the work that they put in academically on the hill, as we refer to it here, the work they put in, down in the rink. They have 2 full-time jobs. It's 20 plus hours a week or, academically, and 20 hours a week down at the rink. So, I admire what they do. And I know every single one of these guys is going to be successful, whatever it is they choose to do. And hopefully they'll get an opportunity to play some hockey, before the real world kicks in.
Absolutely. And Carter, I'm sure you can speak to just how challenging that can be sometimes, especially during the season, to balance those academics along with your hockey commitments. But you guys just do a fantastic job, and it's hats off to you. Really excellent.
It is. I just want to touch on this as well. It's my first year experience was throughout the COVID year, and that was after I took only just one gap year, and some guys had it harder than I did, who aged out of juniors. But just that transition of, now it's not just playing hockey. That's not just your full-time job. It's now, you gotta remain academically eligible. And so, some guys that could be a little scary at times. And you definitely had to learn and adjust, just proper time management. And, over the past couple of years, it certainly has gotten a lot easier. And especially now that COVID doesn't have as large of an impact on our everyday lives. But it's helping the new guys coming in now with, giving them tips and tricks or learning the time management, because at the end of the day, we're all in it together and we're all kind of experiencing the same thing. And it's still just the school and academic side of being on a team. It kind of brings it together even more.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, Colgate's one of the best around as far as combining the two. So really, you guys are terrific at that. But all that hard work is now culminating because we are ready for a new season. So this weekend, you guys kick off your exhibition season with games against RPI and golf. Actually, I think I got that in reverse order, but sorry about that. And anyways, your regular season kicks off the following weekend against Northern Michigan. In the latest USCHO poll, you guys have got some votes in there. So the voters are noticing. Going into this season, what do you guys think are some of the strengths of your team?
Well, for me, it's our goaltending. I mean, I got our goalie on. What do you want me to say?
We set that right up for you.
Right? Thanks for that softball question.
What are friends for, right?
Yeah, right. Again, we have all 8 defensemen back. last year. So defensively, we're solid. I love what I'm seeing here in the early going. Obviously, Carter's on top of his game. So it has to start there with every guy back. We did lose some offense up front, so we've got to find a way, to create some offense. I think our power play has to continue to work and improve. But I like our team a lot. We haven't had a team probably this experienced in about 4 or 5 years. So for the early going here, it's almost been, giving them a couple of drills and get out of the way. Sometimes I can mess up a practice just as good as I can create one. So, but yeah, I mean, it's fun. Our league obviously is, it's from one night to the next. It's a bounce of the puck. It's a save. It's a special team play. I mean, that's college hockey now. So when you only play 34 regular season games, I mean, every game is like game 7. I think people miss the mark there. Yeah, it's great in junior hockey playing 70, 80 games, and that sort of mimics a pro game. But to me, I think our guys are better prepared and from a development standpoint, because every single game matters. We lost a bid to the NCAA tournament in 2015 by 0.2 of a percentage point. And, one more win or a tie somewhere along the way would have got us in the tournament. The team that got in over us was Providence College by 0.02%, and they won the national tournament. Without putting too much pressure on your guys, they do need to realize that, every shift matters, every draw matters, every shot on goal matters. And but that's what makes college hockey beautiful, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and you're so right about that, Coach, because with a shorter schedule than you mentioned, junior hockey, there's definitely less margin for error. And, obviously you guys are playing in the ECAC. You got some tough competition in there as well. But you know what, too? You play those tougher teams, you pick up a few wins in them, and you guys are going to shoot right up the standings and the rankings, really.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we've got, the poll with the 4 top teams and us being 5th, but Quinnipiac is, they're going to be a power. You got Harvard, who just continues to reload every year. Clarkson Casey's done a great job up there. And then Cornell. I mean, Cornell just is always there. But I like our chances. I really do. I think it's going to be a fun year, and we can't wait to get going this weekend with the exhibition games with RPI and then Guelph on Sunday. And then next weekend, right into, the real deal with Northern Michigan, and they're ranked number 2 in their conference. So, yeah, there's no nights off, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Not at all. How about you, Carter? What do you think? We got some strengths from your perspective.
Well, I think it's one of our identities in the room is playing fast. We're a team that we have all of our players have a ton of speed, and in the ECAC, it's so defensive and it's so tight that any little edge can, make it a tough night for the opponent. And I think our speed is something that we can certainly use against them. And like Coach was saying, it's every game is exciting. It's a game 7 experience. It's so tight. And we got a sense right now, we've been here for a little over a month, and everybody on the team is so excited for the season. We have high expectations, and we're set out to, be a contender in the ECAC. And that's one of our goals, is to win an ECAC championship. And we shouldn't have a doubt in our mind that we can't do that. So you can just feel that we all have a strong sense of excitement, and the fact that we're playing so early right now it's awesome compared to freshman year, where we didn't get to play one game until November and then take a 2-week break and then come back. It's night and day difference, and it's we're all so pumped for it.
Oh, sure. I can only imagine. And that's awesome. And in a few weeks, you guys have got a big road trip coming up. You're going all the way out to Arizona State. That's interesting. Kind of thinking outside the box, I guess, a little bit. So obviously you're going to have to fly out there. You're going to have to maybe cut a few days off of your practice time or whatever. What kind of different preparations are you going to have to make for that trip, as opposed to, say, a bus trip within the ECAC?
It's these guys are resilient. It's amazing when you look at where these guys come from. I mean, we've got them from all over the place, right? But some of our guys have had 15-hour, 20-hour bus trip. Carter, what was your longest bus trip?
My longest, I think it was only 8 hours in the AJ in Sherwood Park. I was pretty fortunate, but
Only 8 hours.
Yeah, that's it.
We've had some guys in the BC league that, they've had to wait for ferries and do this, but yeah, I mean, they go with the flow. We played in Arizona the year they first became Division I, so we've been there once before. They've done an amazing job with that program as an independent. Building a brand new rink. The most exciting part about probably this trip is we will be the first game in their new rink.
Oh, really? Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so we'll be kicking out the Phoenix Coyotes so we can come in and play because they're playing in the same building.
I know.
But we're excited to be able to open their building, and we hope to, rain on their parade a little bit when we're there. But I got a ton of respect for the job they've done at Arizona. And, I think the one thing about taking a long trip like that early in the season is it pulls the guys together.
Sure.
There's nothing quite like being on the road. There's less distractions, and there's always be prepared for for some adversity, whether it's a delayed plane or a piece of equipment gets lost. But we're really looking forward to that trip, especially early in the season, to sort of pull the guys together and see what we have on the road, because it won't be easy, and the games are already sold out in their new building. So we're really looking forward to that. I don't know what Carter has to say, but I know I am.
Yeah, well, you couldn't have said any better, Coach, talking about how it pulls the team together. We had a bit of an experience last year traveling to Northeastern when just travel issues, delays, cancellations of flights. It's in the moment, it's not great, but you're with the team, you're with the guys that you nobody else you'd rather be with. So it's an awesome experience traveling, and the fact that we get to go to Arizona State in their new rink, in their home opener of their new rink, it's going to be just electric. And the fact that it's this early on in the year, it honestly can't hurt us no matter what to go to something like that, where it's going to be great hockey and just great for the team.
Well, unfortunately, it's going to be on TV too with ESPN Plus, so that's definitely, thank goodness. You guys surprised me though, because you said you prefer to go early in the season. I figured you guys were going to say, well, we want to go in January when it's 5 below here with about 3 feet of snow on the ground.
Scott, let me tell you, like when they announced the first time that they were going to become Division I was the first one to call their coach, and I said, "Listen, we'll come play you, but it's got to be in January." and we did. We went out. We had a great time and got out of the frozen tundra here and had a great trip out there. We split with them. They were even good back then. So that was the first check box. Okay, we're going, but we're not going until it's January.
Can't say as I blame you, not one bit. But you guys both mentioned that it's definitely a team building and brings the team together. Just a few weeks ago, you had another team building exercise. You went to a firefighting camp. And that looked like you guys had a lot of fun. So tell us, how did that come about? And did you have fun?
I'll speak to the how it came about part, then I'll let Carter speak to sort of how it went. But Dana Borges, my associate head coach, was looking for some kind of a team building experience. And he has an uncle that's a firefighter, and fell upon their sort of their core values, which speak directly to what we do. Trust. You have to trust the guy that's next to you on the fire line. You have to have a team first mentality. You've got to be able to make decisions, in quickly, and people's lives are on the line. And I'm not saying our guys' lives are on the line, but a lot of those qualities translate to what we do and what we think of as our team. And the message could not have been better. And we had a lot of fun in the process. But I think our guys realized that it's not easy work, but it is a team. I'll let Carter speak a little more to it.
Yeah, when we found out that we had to leave on the bus at 7 a.m. on the Saturday, we weren't too thrilled about it. But when we got there and after we were done with it, we could have been more fortunate to have been given the opportunity to do that. That was, we split up into 4 different groups and 4 teams competing against each other. And obviously being on the team that did win the overall competition, it was pretty sweet. But like Coach said, it's a lot of those values that we, what not only us, but also the firefighters, what they have to go through. And, it's about trusting your guys and trusting your teammates that they're going to do their job so that, everything is team first in that. And that's just kind of the same thing that we have. One of our core values here at Colgate is team first. So it was very applicable, and the message was very translatable, and it was just a blast. It was hard work. It was fun, but it was awesome.
Well, being a firefighter myself, I got to know, what kind of competitions did you guys do?
We did a dummy drag relay. We carried a fire hose up a couple flights of stairs, pulled the fire hose up with a rope, and sent it back down. We did the Kaiser hammer, and then we also ran out the hose to spray a pylon and then run it back to the truck. And then that was also a relay. So we had timed events in all of them. No
kidding. So they didn't take it easy on you guys.
No, they definitely didn't take it easy on us. We had a lot of guys who were sore, especially after the Kaiser hammer. That was a lot of guys' hands, and they got blisters, and it definitely wasn't easy, but it was worth it, and it was a lot of fun. And Coach had to been going, wait a second, take it easy on these guys. They got a season coming up. Settle down.
I'm worried about their hands being shredded. This guy's got to work on Monday with, but
yeah.
It was great. I mean, the crew that the Madison County Fire people were tremendous, and they actually gave a demonstration with one of their guys, and apparently they do. You may know this better than me, but there's like 8 stations that they normally do. We just did 4, but the fireman that demonstrated it did it in full gear with oxygen on, and we didn't have to do that, thank God. He did it, but his team was next to him the whole time, making sure he was okay, and it really elevated our guys and our spirits, and really the whole team first thing was it was amazing. So I highly recommend it, to anybody that wants to give it a try.
Oh, and it's a great way of thinking outside the box to bring the team together like that. But just one last question on that, because I got to know, which Colgate Raider is going to end up being on an episode of Chicago Fire?
I got this one. Nick Belpedio. And there's a backstory there, but Nick's, well, I probably can say it. Can I say it, Carter?
Yeah, you can.
Nick's dad actually works on the set of Chicago.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah. He does a lot of their special effects stuff.
No kidding. That's
nice.
Really cool. Yeah, that's cool.
So see how quickly I perked up, Scott?
I know. He's like the Phantom of the Opera right now. He's not on the screen, but we can just hear him. So
yeah.
Well, I can do that. I mean, come on.
There he is. There's a little bit of an inside scoop for you.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on. I know you just got done with practice, so I'm sure you want to take a breather and probably get something to eat. But again, we just appreciate you coming on the show and talking about the upcoming season, which we know you guys are going to do phenomenal this year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, great luck this season. And I'll be out in a couple weeks to see one of the Northern Michigan games. So I'll
that'd be awesome. Let us know what you need. We take care of your, their tickets or whatever. And
absolutely.
Love to have you. Check back in with us later. I think this is a great thing for Central New York and 315 area. So we're all in. Whatever you guys need, let us know.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Coach. And Carter, thanks a million. We really appreciate it. Best of luck this season, guys. And like I said, we know you're going to do phenomenal. So like I said, go take a well-deserved break. So
awesome, guys.
All right. Thank you, fellas. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night. All right. That was pretty awesome right there. That really was. Mike, I know you had to cut out there for a few minutes. Totally understand. Oh, and
he went again. Where'd he go?
That's all right.
As soon as you started talking to him, he left.
I know, right? I just seem to have
better run a commercial, buddy.
I think so. I think maybe we will go to commercial break. And when we come back from commercial, we're going to wrap up some odds and ends. So stick with us. All right. All three of us are back now. All right. We're back.
Yeah, my internet kept crapping out, so now I'm on the phone with the Wi-Fi turned off.
Oh, there you go. Well, fortunately for you, segment 2 is not going to take up too long, so we don't want to use up too much of your data. So, but no, that was fantastic. Both of them, and again, I'm so looking forward to some Colgate hockey this season. People just don't realize it sometimes. I think that we got this great Division I program that's really right down the road.
Yeah, really good. And they play a lot of pretty good teams too. I remember when I was playing at MV, we went down there as a team to watch a game, and they played, I don't know who it was, I think Ferris State.
Wow,
that was a really good game. Yeah, Ferris State was pretty good back then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you look at the powerhouse that the ECAC is this year. I mean, it's just there's going to be all kinds of great hockey out there at the Class of 1965 Arena on the Colgate University campus in Hamilton, New York. So, Mike, we got some more hockey coming up this weekend. We're going to have Dave put the graphic that you made up that you did such a fantastic job with. Look at that.
Did my best.
Actually, I think the other graphic comes first. Let's see. There it is. All right. So
September 38th.
Yeah. Well, no, that's 30th.
Boy, looks like you're 8 almost. My eyes.
Yeah, you're just full of it tonight. I got to tell you, man, you
something.
are totally full of it. So,
I don't know.
This Friday night, the Syracuse University women are going to Merrimack to take them on, and the Colgate University women, who we just had on last week, are at Mercyhurst. Both of those games are obviously on the road. Saturday, October 1st, again, Syracuse is playing Merrimack. The Colgate women are playing Mercyhurst once again, and we got some junior Comets action. So the Junior Comets NCDC team they're playing the Boston Junior Comets, the Boston Junior Bruins. It's a Junior Bruins shootout, so apparently there's a tournament going on out there.
There's a big showcase for NCDC and Premier, all kinds of hockey out there this weekend. Yeah,
that's awesome because it looks like the Premier team is going to kick off against the New Hampshire Junior Monarchs. So that's really cool. That's Marlborough, Massachusetts, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's see, Dave, if you could go over to our next slide, please.
Yeah, which one was that? Oh, yeah.
There it is.
I forgot which one I clicked on.
Well, that's okay. We understand. It's all good.
I know.
As you can see, the tournament continues right there for both the NCDC and the Premier team. All kinds of action for them this weekend. If you go to uticacomets.com, you can link to the Junior Comets website there, and actually the best place to go is usphl.com to follow all the action there. Like I said, and we talked about earlier, the Colgate men, they got let's see, RPI. They're on the road at RPI this weekend. Saturday, the first to play RPI, and then Sunday they are home for golf, and those are both exhibition games. So anyways, we're gonna wrap up here with our contest. Dave, if you would put, there it is. Right there.
That one I knew.
Yeah, we're getting down the home stretch here, people, for our Martin Brodeur bobblehead giveaway. We're going to draw that next week. So if you want the Martin Brodeur bobblehead giveaway contest, you got to like that post that you see on our Facebook page. Just go to 315 Hockey on Facebook, scroll down, you'll find that post, like that, and please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel because that's the big reason why we're doing it, to build up our subscriber base. So there it is right there. We'll be drawing that next week. Best of luck to everybody who enters.
Do you realize I have that thing hostage here in the studio now?
Well, it's just, you know why?
It's alone with me now.
I'm never going to see it again.
I know. It'll never be the
what
same.
What bobblehead? I don't know what you're talking about, Mike.
I suppose we should probably start putting a disclaimer before this, huh?
Yeah. If Dave doesn't run off with it first.
Yeah. We don't know what kind of condition the bobblehead's going to be in when you win it, but that's...
Yeah.
Barry
thinks we'd have. You see, he wants my bobblehead. Barry, it's $89. We've already checked into it.
We did too. We really did.
Oh, geez.
Oh boy. Well, Mike, any closing thoughts?
Just excited to see all the games starting to pick up here. We got Colgate men starting. D3 starts pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And your daughter's excited too. This is awesome.
Yeah, she got her first haircut, so she's very excited.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. Hey, looking good. All right. I like it.
She's a star now.
Yeah, you're a star.
Absolutely. And you know what, too, I just wanted to mention as well, if your youth hockey program is doing any kind of fundraisers, please let us know, and we will announce it right here during this segment for you. We want to be able to get the word out for all programs possible to try to raise some money, because we know sometimes the sport we love can get expensive. So, like I said, if you got a fundraiser, let us know, and we'll help get the word out. All right. Well, I think that's all the time we got for tonight, fellas. Again, we want to thank the Colgate men's head coach, Don Vaughan, and goaltender Carter Gylander for coming on the show. That was awesome. And you know what? Like I said, they're going to do great this season. So anyways, for Mike Verminski, for Dave the Save Warner, I'm Scott Kinville. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week on 315 Hockey Live.